Hi, everybody. I'm Monique Carlisle with Midas Web, and I'm very excited to be here with you today. And thank you so much for joining us. We are in our AI Solutions Lab, which is our free webinar every Tuesday at 4 o'clock Central, just to dive into AI tools. And so today's topic is writing. So we all do a lot of writing, especially in business. So we're going to have a little bit of audience participation. So call out off of mute. And when I say you need to write something for business, what are some of the things that you write for your business? Any ideas?
Emails.
You write emails. Absolutely. What else?
Text.
Keep going.
That's it for me.
What
All I have
about
to do is email and text. That's it.
what about marketing materials? Do you write any marketing materials?
Oh yeah.
Like what?
I have to do the uh descriptions of the houses that we're going to lease.
Okay, so product, we can call them product descriptions.
Product, yes, I have to do product descriptions
And your product
all
has
the time.
houses. Absolutely. What else? What else do we write when it comes to marketing materials and getting our name out there?
Elevator pitches.
Okay. What about social media? You don't do any social media? Why not?
Can't stand it.
Do you agree that some people might utilize social media? So social media posts are written, right? So social media.
That's
And
correct.
what about expert proof, like social proof that you're the expert, like blogs? Does anybody write blogs?
I don't.
You don't. Okay.
But maybe I should start.
You for my,
Remember I said something different.
Adrian, you were say something?
I would hope to for my business. This isn't for my job. This is for me. So
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We want to write blogs.
Yeah.
What about vlogs, which are video blogs? They're speaking. Do you write when you have to speak it?
never
Yeah.
done that. I've just
You have to write the script. So whether you're doing a video, presentation of your own genius, or you are teaching, or whether you are doing a commercial, you got to write the script. So that kind of marketing script is something else that has to be written. What about literature, like eBooks? Your
Yes,
expertise written on the page in a course or in a book. So that is all writing. And when it
that's
comes to
correct.
presentations, what else are we writing when it comes to presentations?
Business plan.
Oh, I love it. And the dialogue that comes with the course, the PowerPoint. Like, what are you going to write on that PowerPoint slide? If you choose to do a slideshow, what are you going to write on it? So would you agree that that's also something that has to get written? So
Yes,
kind of, so we could go on and on and on. We have
correct.
a pretty comprehensive list, but the concept is that there's a lot of writing. Writing in your business is content creation, and it's the primary thing that we do. We communicate as human beings with intelligence. We commute in the written word. We have to tell people what we're doing, and that's usually through a written form. I love those examples, and we're going to talk about all of them. So we can use ChatGPT and other AI tools to make our writing jobs a lot easier or more efficient. So there are some writing jobs that are going to take your expertise. For example, I would not tell you to write an ebook and publish it using only AI. But you can get most of it written, which makes the finalization process a lot more efficient because you didn't spend 3-4 weeks, months pouring out to create your chapters. Your chapters are done, and now you can just clean it up and make sure that it sounds like you. It's got your experience in there and things like that. So when we're talking about writing with AI, we are never, ever, ever, no matter what tool you're using, never telling you to create something and put it out there automatically. We will always recommend that you read it. Not because AI is wrong or stupid or doesn't know what it's talking about. It's going to be accurate. Well, there might be some things that don't sound like you. And you want to always honor your own brand voice. So always read over what you're putting out there. Make sure you can stand behind it. So we're going to jump in. I'm just going to share my screen to make life easy. All right. So the first thing I'm going to share with you very briefly before I jump into a formal presentation is PowerPoints. So when you are needing to create a PowerPoint presentation for anything, here's an AI tool for you. It's called Gamma. I absolutely love this tool. It is how I wrote today's presentation. Now, I'll be honest, I have not gone through this and poured through it and tweaked it at all. I wanted you to see what it created straight off. And then we're talking about, what would I change? What do I not agree with to show that importance of looking over your work. And then I'll show you in a few moments how we use Gamma. But this is a tool that I have used many times before. So will it move forward on its own? How do I make it move forward? There we go. All right. So we talked about what do we write? And there are lots and lots and lots of AI tools out there that do writing. Our primary writing tool is ChatGPT. It just is. Well, I'll show you another one named Claude. That's another great one. They're both considered LLMs, large language models. And that basically means that they have billions and zillions of terabytes of data from the human collective knowledge, and they are trained on it to pull the right information to present it to you. Okay. I emphasize that because there are other tools that will do things like data analysis. So they're not creating content, they're looking at a spreadsheet and giving you insights, or they're looking at advertising data and finding out how many likes and clicks do these different articles get, and which ones are resonating with the public, right? They're giving you that kind of data. Or they're scouring the web for which questions are asked most often, and they're giving you that data. So it doesn't just create content. There are a variety of tools, and we're only talking about content creation today. So terabytes, zillions and terabytes of data that helps them to predict what humans would say in response to a question. All right, so why should we use an AI writing tool? It saves so much time. I have written 2 books. I generate all of my social media in about an hour. I literally created the next 6 months of social media posts and social media posts, copy for the courses, copy for the websites, all of that marketing pieces for all of our workshops coming up for the next 6 months in about 2 weeks. Now I say 2 weeks because I had to take care of, clients and stuff. But you know what that looks like. Like, take 2 weeks of dedicated effort on this kind of task. And that's what, 10 hours to do 6 months of work, right? To get 6 months of copy out there. So it's very, very fast. And now that is done, I could prioritize that over the holidays. I can now focus on meeting client needs and interacting with them and taking care of them face to face. I love that AI can also critique your own work. It can make it better. So this was a popular strategy when it first came out, when AI first came out about 1.5 years ago, was take this email and make it better, right? I still use it this way. It's not quite as often, but I will just throw out what I want to say and then tell ChatGPT, can you take this and make it more professional? Especially if I'm talking to somebody that I'm not happy with. And I'm like, hey, you need to stop doing XYZ. I can feed it kind of my frustration and it will take it and turn it into a professional email, a professional text, whatever I need. So it improves the quality, it can change the tone, but keep the message. So it's just a really amazing thing. I've also used it very recently. Brad is our partner with MidasWeb. He took a picture of some text on a PowerPoint and OCR, that is optical character resolution. So he took that picture and then texted it to me. He OCR'd it and then texted me the text, the copy of the text. There were so many typo errors and graphical, it was just almost unreadable. I could not use it. And I was about to go through it and be like, okay, that's not supposed to say that. It's supposed to say this. And I was about to fix the text. And I was like, why am I doing this? Why? I fed that very grammatically incorrect, punctuation everywhere, misspellings to GPT. And I said, clean this up. It's basically, I'll show you that prompt. Clean this up. And it did that. And it gave me the same message in a much cleaner, no grammar errors, none of that, right away. I then could take that larger chunk and write my social media posts, write my text marketing, write everything from that. And that's what we call a content factory, where we move it from one type of content, one purpose, one style, and we break it into a bunch of different ones. So for emails, for social media, for marketing, for a blog, that's content factory. And we do have a workshop on that. So it improves the quality of our writing. It also can help with creativity. It's like, what did I miss? What did I leave out? What else can I talk about? So this is great for like blog writing, okay? Or you're doing an email newsletter and you're like, okay, this is the industry I'm in. What can I talk about? And it'll tell you, experts in that industry talk about these 5 things. Now you can say, great, let's make a newsletter for 1, 2, and 3. I don't really focus on 4, so we're going to ignore that one and then do one for 5. So now you're getting more creative and expressing what you do and more comprehensive, if that makes sense. So lots of benefits with pulling in AI and not relying on our own limited capacity to think, right? All right, so popular writing tools. You may have heard of all these. We're actually not going to go through these because they're not my favorite. And again, I had Gamma create this, and I don't agree with what they chose. My personal experience is not with these 3. I would choose ChatGPT, I would choose Designrr, and I would choose, oh my gosh, what was the other one? I guess I could do Gamma here too. Like I would choose other tools is what I'm saying. So we're not going to spend a lot of time on this, but again, human oversight, I would need to come in and fix that. It's not perfect. There are some capabilities and limitations when it comes to all AI. And we've kind of talked and hinted about them so far already through the conversation. One of the biggest limitations is they don't replicate you. They don't replicate humans, although they're getting there, starting to test that. But what they really do is predict the next word. So a ChatGPT isn't actually generating authentic new content, okay? What they're creating is, what did that mass database say about X? And then it predicts the next best word. And it's very, very good at this. It's gotten much, much better too with all of its iterations and versions. But all it is a predictive model of what's going to come next in this sentence to make sense and align with what everybody else is saying, okay? There are some other limitations, like it tends to talk on a higher vocabulary than what might be appropriate for your audience. So you might have to use things like telling it what grade level to write at. And I've done this. I've said, this is great. Now please write it like for a 9th grader. And then I'll read through it and I'll decide, is that Is that appropriate? Does that sound like the way I would talk to my client? Still too high? Okay, let's go down to 8th grade. Is it too low? Then I would take it to 10th grade. So you can tell it, talk to me like a 9th grader, okay? Or write it like a 9th grader. So some limitations just to keep in mind as you're using these tools. All right, so we kind of already talked about why we want to use them. We talked a lot about content creation, but we also have SEO. So search engine optimization is SEO. And basically it's how does Google know that you do what you do? How does it know that your website talks about your products, your services? It does that by reading the words on your page, and it reads them in a very specific way. I'm keeping this real simple because SEO can get very complex. There are experts out there. I'm not one of them. I know very little, just being transparent, but I know that my website needs to say certain things so people know I do AI. I can have ChatGPT look at the description I used, decide the meta tags I have, look at my headline and give me suggestions and say, how can I write this to be more SEO friendly, right? So you have that conversation with your ChatGPT. And then we talk a little bit about grammar and spelling checks too. All right. Let's jump into tools and then we'll come into the end of the presentation in a little bit. All right. So let's jump into the most common tool, and that is going to be your LLM or your ChatGPT. Now, there are 4 or 5 LLMs out there. Okay, so ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot, Claude, and there's like a bunch more, but those are the top 4. Those are the, like the Facebook, Instagram, the ones that everybody recognizes. They have different ways of expressing themselves, different ways of presenting content. I highly encourage you to play with all of them. They are free and they all have a paid model as well. So you can get more features and benefits by choosing a paid model. And that's something that we can talk to you about during a workshop or at a private consult later if you need some help choosing which LLM. I happen to lean on ChatGPT and I have the free model. The free one gives you access to ChatGPT 4.0. 4.0 is the most recent public model that they have. They started with ChatGPT blank, and it became, 3.0, 4.0, 4.0. Now they have a bunch of other ones. The paid model gives you access to 01 and 01 mini and some other models. Okay. There are slight variations depending on your particular needs. You might need another model. I find that the free 4.0 is fine. All right. So let's look at a couple of ways that I've had writing done. All right. Here's a great one. I wanted to interview a past client and get a testimonial from him in a live interview format. So I had ChatGPT write it. Now, how do you write a prompt? There are 4 basic components, and I play with them in variation in a variety of degrees. But in general, you want to tell it the role to assume, which is not here. So you are a business coach, you are an accountant, you are a lawyer, you are, tell it the role that you want it to adopt. Then tell it the context, background. So what's going on? Why do you need this writing done? So in this case, I would wanted to interview a client. Okay. Background can also include anything it needs to create that writing. So in this case, in this interview, I needed to tell it kind of what my business model was, like what are we interviewing about? So this is all background here. And then you need to ask it to actually do something. What do you want it to write? So in this case, I just wanted a series of questions. That's all that I wanted. And it had a specific purpose. I wanted engaging and entertaining. I wanted to highlight how my business impacts business owners. So that was the why. The last piece, the 4th one, is output. output is basically, how is it presenting it to you? In this case, I had told it output by saying questions. I want it to list me questions, but maybe I wanted those questions in a table. Maybe I wanted it in a bullet form. Maybe I wanted it in prose. So you can tell it, write it in paragraph form, so on and so forth. And I'll give you an example of that. I had it write all this. And then I needed to shorten it. So again, I'm having a conversation saying, hey, I don't really like that. This is why. And then I had it rewrite it. What I actually did after that was take all 27 questions and I picked my favorite from the 27 to create the final product. Oh, this is not the one that I took to the next level. Let me find that one. This one. All right, so this was a similar. This is the one. Make sure. Trying to find the. What is that one? Okay, well, we're gonna move on. Oh, this one. Yes, okay. So this was very similar in that I was building basically an interview. It's a consultation flow that we use at Midas Web to take a client through a discovery process. And so I had it kind of build out, you know, what would that 45-minute, 1-hour conversation look like? What are some questions I could ask? Again, it's kind of like interview style, like I just showed you. But then after I worked with it, had it write all of this out, I did have it. This is fun. I had it review its own work. So this is a strategy you can use to check that your work aligns with best practices. I literally told it, consider best practices and then review your conversation flow and make changes. So I had it review its own work and critique itself. And then we made changes as necessary. But then I wanted to take this and I wanted to write a survey that I could put on my website. So that's what I was doing with the table. Now in this, I'm telling it to present it in a table. So that's the output I wanted to highlight. All right. Phone calls. You could write cold scripts. So this is an outreach for our division Midas Life. And so these are some cold texts that I could send that I could do for solicitation marketing purposes. So again, having it write what needs to be said. This is the phone call piece. I started with the cold call, cold leads, phone call, and then I had it change it into a text. Okay. See, what else can I show you? This one. I'll show you the one where I used social media. I think it's this one. Okay, this one was awesome. So this one has all of the roles, or all of the 4 pieces I just mentioned. Act as a digital marketer specializing in social media advertising. So I needed it to write me social media posts. I gave it its context, its background. And the important thing is I fed the image of my workshop. So I created the flyer and I said, hey, this is what's going on. Can you write me a post for LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook? I then read through it and told it to do the rest. So now that I had approved what it had already done, and I was like, that's great. It sounds good. I like it. Sounds like me. Let's do it again. And it wrote me all of these 3. And then I was like, excellent. Let's do it again. So I sat here and I just clicked. That was great. Let's do it again. Again and again and again. So I was powering out my social media in moments, in seconds, just by uploading a flyer. A limitation to ChatGPT free is that you are limited in what they call tokens. Basically, you will run out of allotment for the day. and a little pop-up will appear at the bottom. It'll say, you cannot use 4.0 anymore until 6:30 tomorrow night or whatever. It'll give you a time frame. You can continue using it, but you drop to a lower, less efficient model. So I typically just go work on another software, or go fold laundry, something else with my time. But what's awesome is because I had already approved these posts, let me show you what I did. So this is all of our power socials and power marketing, our power series. So after I was done with that, I was like, hey, let's go ahead and do my big workshops. You already know what I sound like. You're already on the right track. So I just uploaded a new flyer. I gave it some extra information that it needed. And I said, go ahead and make me posts. And now I could power out all of the workshop posts that I needed back to back to back to back, minutes, and I was done. So that is the power of utilizing a writing tool like this. All right, any questions on ChatGPT? And then I'll show you a couple more cool tools before we jump into the end and wrap up. Okay, so another really awesome tool that I have used is called Designrr. It's 2 R's, no E, Disignrr, Designrr.io. This is basically ChatGPT, but it's embedded in the back end of this website so that you can create eBooks. So it's got a very low cost. I think I paid like $97 a year or something like that. So it's really cost effective if book writing and article writing and things like that are a part of your business model. So let me just show you what it looks like. We're going to create, I need to update my payments. I want to create something. So you have 2 options. Okay. Ebook or audiobook. So we're going to do an ebook. And I want to choose a PDF. And I'm going to either feed it a link to your current book, so something you've already written, okay? I'm going to use an existing document, or I'm going to have AI create it. Now, for our purposes, we're going to use AI. And I want to choose the theme. Let's just do health and wellness for fun. And then click Let's Start. The first thing that's going to happen when you're doing, when you're writing your ebook is it's going to give you the outline, description, and first paragraph. So it gives you a little snippet, a little teaser of what's being created. So I click Next. Now I need to tell it what health and wellness I want it to work on. So let's say something that's important to me, gluten-free eating best practices or something like that. I don't know. That's what I want to know. I just recently had to give up wheat, and so I'm learning the gluten-free lifestyle. And I'm kind of lost. So I'm going to have it write me an ebook about this so that I will learn. All right. So the first thing it does is it asks you, what exactly are you talking about? So let's say gluten-free meal planning, techniques, recipes, tips and tricks. I like this one. Meal prep for busy professionals. It's appropriate for us. And then we click Next. Who is going to read this? We're going to say business people. Let's say businessmen and women. Let's fix there. All right. So I'm just literally walking through this. And then it wants me to pick a title. Now, again, this is all AI created. So I am just making choices that resonate with me and my brand and my voice. And so I'm going to pick that one. That's fine. And then click Next. Do I want my tone of voice to be, let's say, encouraging, just for fun? It's thinking. It's actually writing right now. Okay, so now it's telling you to proofread it, which I just reminded you to multiple times. So now I have the outline. And what's great is I can change and I can edit and I can delete and I can adjust this outline. And when I hit next, and I'm like, yeah, that sounds awesome. Hold on, Brad is trying to get into the Zoom. Apologize. Let me get him the right link. All right. So now, as you can see, it has written all of my ebook. Now, what's my job next? To read it and make sure it works and it sounds right. But I have an ebook written. Now, what can I do with this? As I had mentioned, the content factory, I can now take, it's going to scroll as it creates each of the chapters. I can take this and I can pull out this first section and turn it into a blog. I can turn it into a video using a video software, an AI video software. I'm not talking about recording yourself making a meal. You can create a video of it with AI. Maybe an infographic. So you can take what it's created here and turn it into multiple pieces of content. And that I think we're doing in February. I have to go look at our workshops. But we talk about that. So I'm going to let it keep doing its thing and we're going to move on. This next one I'm going to show you is not really a writer, but it's one of my favorite tools. It's called TurboScribe. TurboScribe takes an audio clip and writes the transcript. So let's say I'm doing this presentation and I want to take what I have said and described and turn it into a blog, turn it into an article, turn it into an e-course. Well, I want to know what I've said, the word choice I've used, the way I've explained it. I might want to transcribe this audio. I can do that with TurboScribe. I can also take YouTube channels. You can record to your phone and say you're in a car and you're like, oh, this is a great idea. Let me just hit record and talk about it. And now you have an audio file and it will actually create that transcription for you. It does a really excellent job. You get 3 daily for free. As you can see, I've done a 30-minute, I've done an 18-minute and a 19-minute. I haven't tried anything super long, but those are pretty substantial audio clips that it then transcribes. So I really, really like TurboScribe. And then the last one is Gamma. So this again created that PowerPoint. And it is as simple as, I'll show it to you really fast. You just click Create New. You have 3 choices. You can import your own infographic, article, flyer, ebook, whatever you need for it to create from. Most people typically just put in a single line, like the title or the main topic you want to talk about. And then you can also have your outline and your talking notes, and you can input those. I've used this before, and this is where you start, where you're going to hear how we combine tools. So if I were to go to ChatGPT and have it create me an outline. So let's do this really quickly. Create an outline for a presentation on gluten-free eating. Include all relevant key topics to encourage a new person or encourage a person new to eating gluten-free. Okay, I'm just gonna keep it real simple because we're not doing a true prompting class today. Okay, so I'm just gonna have it do this outline real fast, and then I'm gonna copy this outline. Now, I'm not a nutritionist. This is not my zone of genius. So if I was a nutritionist and it was my zone of genius, I would need to read through it and make sure I agree with everything. But let's just assume that everything's great. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to paste in the text. I'm going to put my outline. And I'm going to tell it to create a presentation. It's going to create 9 cards. It does have tokens. So I don't remember how many tokens you get. Oh, here it is, 235 credits. So you have about 300 credits to start with. So let's go ahead and continue. You get to pick your color. Let's make it a fun color like this one and hit generate. And it's literally going to create me a PowerPoint. That's how easy it is to create a presentation. Hands-free. You know, when you're riding a bike and you're so excited because you can ride hands-free, right? Look, Mom, no hands. So it's going to create all 9 slides, and then I'll go through and I would read. And this is fully editable. So I can change the layout, I can change the pictures, I can change the font. Like, it's fully customizable to your needs. You can even download it as a PDF or a PowerPoint. So if you needed to transition to a PowerPoint presentation at, say, somewhere you were going to present to, you can actually pull that off and then go and just plug your flash drive in. So there you go. Any questions about kind of those tools that I wanted to highlight really quickly? TurboScribe, Designrr, or Gamma? Okay, the very last, go ahead, Natalie.
Okay, so Gamma is used for presentation only, correct?
That is correct. It is a PowerPoint creator, slideshow creator.
Okay, and ChatGPT is the one to receive information.
Yes and no. So ChatGPT is a content creator. It will create informational content. There is one other tool, and I'll show you that because I want to be very clear. Perplexity is where you do research.
Okay.
So Perplexity, it's kind of like it's a mashup between an LLM like ChatGPT and Google search. So I can type in what are the easiest gluten-free foods for someone new to gluten-free eating. So I need to do research. I'm not creating a presentation. I'm not creating an article. I'm just trying to learn. This is where I would go to do research. What Perplexity does is it gives you websites. It tells you, hey, here's some really great websites. And then it summarizes the information across them. So instead of me reading 4, 5, 6 websites that all say the same thing, I get it in one nugget. And then I can go and be like, really? Broccoli's gluten-free? I know. I can click this and be like, okay, that's where they got it. So I can go track down my sources.
Okay, and role background.
Role, background, task, like what do you want it to create? And output. And it's important that you tell it the task.
Is that for Perplexity or is that for Gamma GPT?
That's going to be ChatGPT or one of your other LLMs. For Perplexity, I find it easiest just to type in your Google question. If you would put it into Google search, you can put it into Perplexity.
Okay.
Now I want to answer the question that no one's asking. Will Perplexity write for you? Absolutely.
It will?
It will. Let me tell you what it does. Let me see if I can find this. This is hilarious when I did this because you don't want it to. Let me just preface with that. You don't want it to, but it will. I'm looking for something very specific that I did a few months ago. Here we go. there's something in November called NaNoWriMo, whatever. It encourages writers. And I was like, hey, ChatGPT can write. I'm going to have it write for me. So I went to Perplexity to do research. And I told it to research the topics that were most likely to become a bestseller and give me some ideas. Well, it did. And as I read through these, I realized that these are real books. These aren't suggestions based on real books. They're real books. So if I were to be like, ooh, Echoes of Time, let me write about that. That sounds awesome. I'd be plagiarizing. So Perplexity is a research tool. You can treat it like an LLM, but it does not give you information. Like if I were to do the same thing and I ended up doing it, I don't know if I could find it. Oops, click novel, but I didn't. One of them in here, let's see, novel, here we go. I was like, that's not what I want. So I actually had it, I went to ChatGPT and I had it write like the first 2 chapters. I did the same prompt and got unique novel ideas. Because what ChatGPT does is it looks at the swath of data and pulls what they think should be the next word, versus Perplexity pulls what actually already exists. So slight difference, but an important one. So I had it write me it actually wrote me a book. Like I had all the chapters laid out. No, the book's not written. I only got to like the first chapter. But I had it write out all the characters and the relationships between them, and I had it do all of that. And so I mean, I spent about 2 hours to create all of this outline. So that was really cool. It was a lot of fun. And then I left it alone. It was just a fun little tangent project. Okay, so let's jump into the final pieces, which is ethical considerations. Plagiarism, you want to make sure that whatever you're creating is true. Now, if you're feeding it your words, your flyer, your concepts, and those are uniquely you, then you're not going to have a problem with this. As I just pointed out, Perplexity was going to have me accidentally plagiarize. So you want to make sure that you're checking sources and if you're using somebody else's information, that you're not plagiarizing, and you're doing the right citations. It can be biased. So just be aware of that, you know, as you're writing, whether it's gender bias or language bias or demographic bias, you know, you want to make sure that you're looking at those things. We have a whole section in our workshops where we talk about the different biases that can exist, and you can avoid them with better prompting. Now, job displacement is a concern, and I'm going to be honest, it's a real concern, but I don't believe it's the concern that most people are bringing up. It's going to have us, it's going to force us to upskill. It will not be acceptable for us to just flipping burgers. That's going to be done by robots. It just is. Okay. Writing, it's going to become a low-level skill. Being able to use ChatGPT, it's going to become a low-level skill. And that's going to be the expectation. If you don't know how to use AI, you are going to be out of a job because it's coming. So you don't have to be an AI coder, programmer, advanced way up there. But if you want to work in marketing, or you want to work in copywriting, or you want to work in legal, or you want to work in the medical industry, you better know how to do some of this basic AI utilization. As this presentation shows, says, it's going to support and augment what we can do. It's not really going to replace them, but it's definitely going to change how our job market works. So you're in the right place. You are ahead of the game, because there's a lot of people that won't even, as you can see, who won't even engage in a valuable information like this that's free. All right, so what's happening? Advanced language models are still being developed. They're taking what ChatGPT is doing right now and making it better and more human-like and more human-like, more complex. They can handle larger pieces of data. It's going to keep developing. It can already do personalized writing if you prompt it properly. So there are strategies and techniques such as feeding your own writing to it, describing your own writing, using personality styles and things like that to kind of help guide it on how to write. So it does a lot of personalized writing already. And it's going to be integrated with other tools. So our software system that we use for our business, we have a automation software. I can actually go to create a social media post and there's an AI button. It says, write the post for me. So AI is already coming into a lot of mainstream tools that businesses use. So you want to know what it's doing when you click that little write the post for me AI. So you can fix it if you don't like it. So it's going to be a part of business moving forward. And that is the end. All right, so we're going to turn this off and take questions from the audience. So if you are catching this afterwards and you're watching the recording, I encourage you to join us online on Tuesdays from 4 to 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, and we'll get you taken care of. So thank you so much.